our first president is his name's Adam, and I actually named him the Godfather since I've been president. I've been giving out handles to all our members. Once a week, I'll name someone else something. Here you have Iceman and Gold Star, but anyway, so the Godfather, I call him, actually was approached by one of the larger clubs in our city, in Temecula. They wanted to kind of help get a club like ours started. So Adam was bigger in the community. He's well spread throughout the community. So he was approached and asked if he wanted to be one of the members to get our club started. And it took a few years. You were one of the founding members, right? So it took a couple years before it really took off, kind of got off the ground. But we now have 24 members. And we've got a couple applications in right now. So within the next couple weeks, or we have one application in, and a lot of people saying they're going to turn in applications. But really, the difference between our club and your traditional Rotary club is that obviously it's mainly the age group. We market to 18 to 40-year-olds. We're not like a Rotaract club or anything like that. We're a full-on Rotary club. But it's just the people that we're marketing to try to bring in as members. Now, we don't discriminate against someone that's older than 40. We do have some members that are older than 40, but it's more of a get in where you fit in type of thing. So, if you're 45 but you still feel like you should be hanging out with the 30-year-olds, then you're more than welcome to come and be a part of our club. One of the big things is that because lots of your typical Rotary members are usually further along in life and maybe even retired or more maybe financially well off, we don't have a lot of money to put toward things. Most of us are new in our careers, or newer in our careers, newer in our family life. So we don't have tons of money to put toward things, but we do have the energy to put toward things. So we're really big on partnering with other clubs that do have the money but don't have the energy. So we'll take their money and partner with them, and they get the bragging rights of the project that got accomplished over here, and they don't really have to go do anything. We'll go take care of it for them. So that's honestly one of the biggest ways that we've been able to accomplish a lot of the things that we have accomplished as a club. One of the challenges with our age group is going back to the fact that we are newer in our careers and newer in our family life, is that we don't have all the time in the world. Even though we have the energy, we don't necessarily have all the time. So it is difficult to get the members to show up to everything. I feel that everyone has the best intentions when they join, because it sounds like a wonderful thing to be a part of, and everyone really wants to do something like that. But then once they get into it and realize that you do have to make time in order to be here to do this project or be there to help with that fundraiser, it's not always easy to keep everyone involved as you'd like them to be. So it does have a fairly I wouldn't say high, but it does have a turnover rate. So it does require the right people that are willing to make the time. One of my as president this year, one of the things that I'm trying to focus on a weekly basis when I talk to my members is that, and also when we're bringing in a new member and interviewing them to come be a part of our club, is that I want to emphasize the fact that they need to get involved immediately. I try to find, you ask them, what are you interested in? Are you interested in youth services? What sparks your interest about this? Do you think it would be awesome to go help someone in a third world country? Are you interested in international stuff? Is it community service projects that you really see yourself wanting to take part in? And I try to get an answer from them, so that I can put them directly into a committee where they can immediately feel like they're involved and can take a little bit of ownership in the club. And on another note, members of ours that just kind of show up on a weekly basis, and I hope they don't feel like I'm attacking them. But lately I've been throwing this out there quite often, just about every meeting, trying to emphasize that it's one thing to show up to a meeting every week and listen to the what we've done and what we've accomplished, and to hear about the things that go on behind the scenes when you're not just physically showing up to your weekly meeting. It's great, and it doesn't mean those people don't have a big heart and they have every intention of being a good person. But until you actually raise your hand and volunteer to go do a project and go be the person physically there taking part in getting it done, that's when you really feel it. You feel what it's like to be a Rotarian, and you feel what it's like to feel a little bit selfish, because when you're walking away you feel so good about what you just did for someone else. So in attracting younger members, that's one of the hard parts, because of the time requirements in order to get those, to get to those projects and to get to those fundraisers. But one of the ways to get those fundraisers, or to get those people to those fundraisers and to those projects, is to make it something that's fun. Our biggest fundraiser of the year is a beer pong tournament. So do you guys know what beer pong is? It's even newer, it's been around for a while now, but it wasn't, I don't remember hearing about it like when I was in high school or even when I was in the Marine Corps, but it's, you basically take a table and you've got cups, well, if you're in college, you've got cups full of beer. Yeah. And you've got ping pong balls, and you basically take turns trying to throw the balls into the cup, and if you get one, the person on the other end has to take the ball out, and they drink that beer and put it off to the side, and you basically you're trying to get all the cups gone, and then you win, and the person's drunk. So, but we play it with water, because we want to make it fun and safe. We usually play like at a bar, so people can still drink if they want to, but it's not a requirement to get hammered to raise some money. But that's our biggest fundraiser of the year, and a couple of years ago, I think, was our biggest year, and we raised $10,000 in one day doing that.
Wow.
So we had
one event?
One event, yep, one day.
Granted,
it took, it takes 3-4 months of planning and organizing and finding people to pay for teams. It's like, I think that year we charged a little more for teams. It was like $50 per team, but we had 46 teams, I think, or 64 teams. 64 teams. So we have a whole big old thing, whole bar basically cleared out, all the tables taken out. We set up our beer pong tables, and we have the anyway. So things like that is obviously going to be a little bit more appealing for someone younger to show up to and take part, and they don't necessarily feel like they're raising money for something. They feel like they're having a good time. And we do all, basically anything that we can think of that would be a good idea. Like if Iceman here comes over and says, hey, I got this idea for a bingo tournament, we say, great, go ahead and organize that, and let us know what you need from us, and we'll do that. So we're always turning our wheels. When she was reading my bio, I don't know if you heard that I hiked the John Muir Trail. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it's a trail that goes through the Sierras from Yosemite all the way down to...
is that part of the Pacific Trail?
It is. It's a section of the Pacific Crest Trail, and it ends at the top of Mount Whitney. And people do it all the time, but I was gonna do it anyway, and I decided, like, shoot, why not turn this into a fundraiser? I'm gonna do it anyway. So I started campaigning through other Rotary clubs and going to get them to sponsor me for $1 a mile or 50 cents a mile, or whatever I could get out of them, and I raised $3,000 doing that. And we were able to donate that and help rebuild an elementary school down in Nicaragua. So, you guys have a whole nother challenge from what we have to deal with to try to get younger members, and I honestly wouldn't even know where to start to tell you, because it's younger members need fun, they need excitement, they need something that keeps their attention, but really getting people involved is the biggest thing to me, because I know that had I just come into Rotary and it was just a weekly meeting that I came and sat in and just listened to what was going on, and I would think it was neat and think it was cool and the cool thing to be part of, but I can see I know myself, and I probably would have started missing a meeting here, missing a meeting there, and eventually just kind of drifting off and probably not coming back. But because the way that I was brought into Rotary was, well, number one, being sent to India for a month, which was just an experience all in itself. But the second I came home and joined their club is when I was made. In fact, I was made the international director because of my contacts I made in India before I was a member of the club. So I was actually showing up to the board meetings and talking about what we were going to do internationally before I was actually inducted. So because of that, I've always had a say in what's going on. I've always had a little bit of ownership in what's going on, and it's kept me coming back. And not only that, obviously now I'm the current president of the club, because I feel so like it's my family, and I don't want to miss a meeting. I really genuinely look forward to Thursdays, because that's when I get to go be with all my friends and talk about the awesome things that we're doing. So that being said, the awesome things that we are doing, and it's funny because I sit down and I'm always sitting there going, man, we don't do enough. And then I'm looking at this list that I was putting together of things that we're doing, and it's like, wow, how do we even do all that? Our community service projects, we've partnered with an organization called Michelle's Place, and every year what we do is we raise money and we go. So Michelle's Place is a company or organization, rather nonprofit, that it's a support center for breast cancer victims. So women who are going through breast cancer, obviously their families, their kids are affected by this tremendously because of the costs that that are going out for treatments and stuff like that, and they just don't have necessarily a lot of money to buy their kids Christmas gifts. So I think we did 150 kids last year, I believe. We raised money and we went and bought, I think, $30 worth of presents for each kid, and we filled big giant stockings full of presents, and we literally know each kid, we know their name, their age, and their gender, so that we can buy appropriate gifts, or at least do our best at trying to do that. And then they all come in to a pizza place, and we have Santa sit down and they get pictures with Santa, and they get to meet him, and then we all give them each their gifts, and it's a really cool event. We take part in, we partner up with another Rotary Club, our actually original parent Rotary Club, every year, and take part in Thanksgiving, like a food drive thing, where we box all the food up for a whole family, and then we actually deliver it to each family. This is the most simple project I think that you can do, but it's probably one of the most fun that we've done, and we do it every year. We usually do it on Rotarian at Work Day, and we do a plant a tree day. So we approach our surrounding cities and ask them which parks they would like us to go plant some new trees in to beautify our city. So they tell us which ones they'd like to do, and we get the trees donated, and we go and we plant new trees in the parks to make our community a little bit prettier, And it's cool because we get everyone there that will come, of course, and they all bring their families, they bring the kids. Kids are running around playing. Sometimes we're barbecuing, got music going, the big speaker on the side, and it's a fun, cheap, really good project that really is it's fellowship ultimately, and it's something you can feel good about doing. Every year also we do our dictionary project. So third graders, in third grade, kids start learning how to use a dictionary and look up words and basically just the workings of a dictionary. So for the surrounding schools that will allow us to do it, we raise money and we purchase a dictionary for each third grader, and then we personally go to the schools and walk in their classroom in the middle of the day and give them their own dictionary. And it's the coolest thing because you should see the looks on these kids' faces. You know, it's like you gave them $100. They're just like, wow, you know, and like, you can keep that, you can take it home, and you know, you can do whatever you want with it, and they just like, you know, it's like you gave them the best toy they ever had. So that's a really cool one. Recently, we just built a. Have any of you heard of? And it's all over the world apparently. But there's a website called littlefreelibrary.com, and basically what it is, it's just a little house with a door on it, and it's like on a post, and you know, you just go put books in there, you take books out, and it's just an on your honor thing. You can just go there and grab a book and take it home and read it. You can just put a book in there and give it to someone else if you want, and it's just a little free library, literally. A lady in our community wanted one in her front yard, and Jennifer actually saw that on Facebook on her little community talk site, and she said, "Well, we'll build you one." So we had our club woodworker, I call him Log Jammer. we had him build a little free library, and he went and put it in her yard, and it looks just like her house. And she put a bench right in the tree next to it, under the shade, so people can come in the community and, you know, sit in her yard and read a free book. That's a pretty cool one. Something that I just did just this last week, I started doing it. We were approached by an organization that does. It's called the Hire Program in the high schools, and it's how I get hired employee readiness. So basically what it is we're teaching juniors and seniors in high school how to go actually apply for a job and get the job, how to interview, how to show up, how to present yourself, you know, first impressions. Super cool project. You know, you go in there and you know, I've done lots of hiring when I used to do sales, and so I did lots of hiring. There's lots of turnovers, and any of you that have ever done sales know there's usually a lot of turnover in that industry. And you'd be, you know, things that we think are common sense, like how to dress when you're showing up to an interview, or even just how to present yourself, or, you know, not giving a different email address than you use, not like, you know, I smoke pot, blah 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 @gmail.com. You know, just again, what we think is common sense, most people don't. You know, fresh out of high school, apparently this is not all common sense. So it's really cool to go and take part in, you know, helping these kids be able to at least go and not look stupid when they're applying for their first jobs. We do Easter baskets for kids again, for an organization or a nonprofit called Rancho Domicitas, and they basically have they foster kids. They basically have foster. It's a big place where they have all kinds of foster kids living there. We go buy them gifts. We've done a trail cleanup project where we just get in the hole. It's kind of along the lines of the tree project, the plant tree project. You know, basically get everyone in the club to come down, and we go just walk one of the city trails and pick up trash and just, you know, try to beautify the area a little bit. We send kids every year to both Ryla and Pride. Are you familiar with those? The Rotary Youth Leadership Award. That's it. So I think we're trying to send 6 kids this year to Ryla and 3 or 4 to Pride. So we raise money to obviously get that done. There's other things we do in the community, but we're also we try to stay very active in international projects. Like I said before, I've been the international director since I joined until this year. And it's just always been kind of my passion is doing international service. So we built 2 schools in Nicaragua. We rebuilt one, built a whole other one from scratch. Well, it took part in that. We didn't necessarily do the whole thing ourselves, but the 3 of us and another one of our members actually went down to Nicaragua after we raised the money and set this all up, and actually got our hands dirty and you know, went there and scrubbed walls and painted and you know, actually took part in this down there in Nicaragua. It was pretty cool. Recently we finished doing building a water well in Nigeria. So after my article in the Rotarian came out, Rotarians all over the world were reading it, and started contacting me on Facebook, finding me and contacting me on Facebook. So I have pretty much an unlimited amount of international projects at my fingertips. Unfortunately, there's not enough money to do everything, but we do what we can. So we recently built a water well in Nigeria for a school of 600 plus kids. And not only does it give them water now while they're at school, but the surrounding community comes and gets water from it. It's clean water, because before that they were literally getting unfiltered water from the river Niger. And it was just, I mean, to see pictures of it, it's just murky brown water, and that's what these kids were drinking. We take part in Peanut Butter Project, or Project Peanut Butter, rather. And I don't know if you're familiar with that program, but basically it's like a peanut butter substance that was developed to help malnourished kids recover from malnutrition. Because you can't, if you're in that state, you can't just give them food and they start eating it. They have to be nursed back into the health where they can just eat normal food again. So this is a substance that helps them recover from that and get back to normal health. So every time we have a guest speaker, we present them with, well, when I remember to write the gift the certificates, we donate $15 toward Project Peanut Butter on their behalf. So that's just one of the things that we don't really physically do a whole lot for, but you know, those $15 every week adds up to quite a bit at the end of the year that we've helped out with that. We've paid for 2 shelter boxes. You guys, I'm assuming have heard of Shelter Box. So I can't remember where they went. We were going to do one in Nepal, but we heard that when they had those big earthquakes, but we heard that one, may have gone to the Philippines. So anyway, we've taken part in that. We recently, our district is doing a project for a town just south of the border in Mexico. And basically it's a little town. Their little huts don't have lights or anything like that. So we actually purchased, I don't know exactly how many it was, but basically for each house in that little village, we bought a solar light. And we're actually going down there on the 10th to go physically install them ourselves, so they can have lights in that village. We've taken part, obviously, in the GSE, the Group Study Exchange, which doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. But that's how I got involved, and so I think they should bring it back because I think it's an amazing program. But they did replace it with the VTT, the Vocational Training Teams. I don't know if you guys are familiar with those. But Jennifer here took part in our last vocational training team, which went down to Brazil, and she was teaching, what exactly were you teaching?
We were studying the educational system in Brazil. Different from what we have here is we were helping where it We went to Sao Paulo where the convention was, and then we went to Moringa and had Moringa. Did you? Yeah. My Portuguese is really bad. I didn't do well there.
Anyway, we've also sponsored a kid in one of our big district international projects is a village in Uganda that they basically have taken and taught them to take care of themselves. And we've sponsored a kid down there for a year of school. And basically we take part in any way that we possibly can for any project that we possibly can. And it takes a lot of our time, and we wish we could do more, but we can't do more because, you know, we've got to take care of ourselves too, unfortunately. But that's pretty much it. I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about what we try to do and how we try to do it, and I'd love to answer any questions. Sure.
Yeah, you guys do a lot of things. That's a lot.
Puts us to shame.
Going down the list, I'm like, man, it's not a competition.
I can see why you have a high degree of turnover, because to do all this, you have to have many people. But what's the most common feedback that you get when they want to join your group and then later on decide to quit? What happens in that process for you?
You know, that's a tough question, actually. I feel like it's most of it. At least the excuse is time. It's not money because we only charge our members $30 a month. It used to be 25. We raised it $5, and I was gonna suggest that to you guys. I know you're trying to keep your dues low, but you have problems necessarily getting as much money as you need to get things handled. You raise it $5. You know, if someone's, I don't know what you guys are charging, but if they're paying $20, if you ask them to pay 25, it's not really gonna make a difference to anyone. But now you've got an extra 55, $60 every month to pay this bill or that bill with, and it's so. But you know, like again, it's not our dues. It's not $30 a month is you know, you can work at Taco Bell and pay that, and it's time. Usually it's all time.
Look, you mentioned Ernest did with TV, Naked and Afraid. What was your involvement in that project?
What? Say that again?
Naked and Afraid. You said you got involved in that TV project. What was your involvement? Are you?
Oh, I was actually on the show.
You were on the show.
Yeah. It wasn't really a project per se. Well, it was a project for me to see if I could survive 21 days without anything. And I can apparently.
Wow.
But yeah, that was just I just threw that in there for my bio because I thought it was cool. To get something out of it.
A comment of all the things that you said, that's the one that you remember.
I know. You know, the important things.
He's my friend.
On the solar light program, on the solar, you guys actually brought some solar units down there?
Correct. Well, we're going to. We already paid for them. On the 10th, we're going down to actually physically take them down there and actually install them in the people's houses for them.
So these are not real expensive units, right?
No, we bought 13 of them for $750, $800.
$60 a piece. So it gathers energy during the day, and they use it for lighting at night.
Correct.
So it has a battery pack in it, so it collects the solar so it'll work at night when it's dark, and then that battery pretty much drains down. It'll provide 8 hours of light, and the next day it'll charge up.
I need to talk to you about that.
It's actually our past district governor, Steve Wallace. He owns a company that makes those. So he makes them a little more affordable, obviously, for Rotary. But yeah, that was his thing that he's been doing for. He did the same thing for that village in Uganda that I was talking about. Brought them all lights. So yeah, we're really excited. The cool thing about that project is that we're, like I was saying, I'm trying to get people to go take part in something, because that's when you really feel what it's like to be a Rotarian. So that's just right there across the border. It's a day trip. We're literally going to drive down there, do it, drive back all the same day. So that's a cool international project.
And I hate to cut this short, but we do have your email.
All right. Yep.
So you have any question? Wonderful projects that you actually said, oh, I could do that. And so many things to do, as you said. And
You only do what you can, right?
do what you can, but I am just amazed of all the projects that you guys have done. So thank you so much. Our topic is visible for you.
All right. Oh, cool.
So much.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having me.